Question 41. The part of cell that is responsible for the production of energy is A. Cell membrane, B. Cytoplasm, C. Mitochondrion, D. Nucleus. Now, energy is the ability to do work, and the part of the cell that produces energy is one of these options. Cell membrane is that part of cell that controls what comes in and goes out of the cell. Cytoplasm is the fluid-like material of the cell. All materials are suspended in the cytoplasm. Mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, and it's the one that makes energy. Nucleus is like the brain of the cell. It controls all activities occurring in the cell. So the correct answer here is mitochondrion, and this is how mitochondria looks like. And the energy currency of the cell is ATP. Question 42. Hormones that help regulate blood calcium level are produced by the A. Adrenal gland, B. Thyroid gland, C. Pancreas, and D. Parathyroid gland. Now, hormones are chemical messengers that are produced by endocrine gland and are transported by the blood to where they effect their function. Adrenal gland is a type of gland that produces adrenaline. Thyroid gland is that gland that produces a particular hormone that regulates blood calcium. And as you can see here, the thyroid gland releases calcitonin, and calcitonin is the one that controls or regulates blood calcium. Pancreas, on the other hand, makes hormone like insulin and glucagon, and parathyroid gland makes hormone like parathyroid hormone. Even though parathyroid hormone also have function in controlling calcium, blood calcium, the major hormone that controls and regulates blood calcium is the calcitonin, and it is made by the thyroid gland. So the correct answer here is thyroid gland. Question 43. Which of the following statements is not true of fish? A. Respires with the use of gills. B. Covered with scales. C. They are homeothermic. And D. They are poikilothermic. Now, here is a diagram of a fish. They respire with the use of gills. Yes, of course, they have gills. And also, they are covered with scales. Their body is covered with scales, as you can see here. Now, we are left with two options, C and D. They are homeothermic and they are poikilothermic. Homeothermic organisms are organisms that maintain a constant body temperature. Their body temperature does not change with the changing of the temperature of the environment. While poikilothermic organisms are those organisms that cannot regulate their body temperature. When the temperature of the environment changes, their body temperature also changes, and they are referred to as cold-blooded animals. So what the characteristic here that is not true of fish is they are homeothermic. Homeothermic are warm-blooded animals, while fish are poikilothermic and they are cold-blooded animals. Question 44. Which of the following is not a waste product of plant? A. Oxine, B. Gum, C. Resin, and D. Tannin. Gum, resin, and tannin are all waste products of plants. Even though some of them are useful to animals and humans, but they are still considered as waste products of plants. Auxine is a plant growth factor or plant hormone mixed by plants, and it is produced at the tip of the shoot, and it is responsible for elongation of the shoot. So auxine is not considered as waste product of plants. So auxine is the correct answer. Question 45. An association between bacteria and root noodles of legumes is called A. Commensalism, B. Mutualism, C. Parasitism, and D. Saprophyte. Now, an association between bacteria and root noodle is considered to be mutualism because both of them benefit from the association. In commensalism, only one organism is benefiting and the other one neither benefits nor it's being harmed. Parasitism, only one organism is benefiting, and that organism that benefits causes harm to the organism it is benefiting from. It causes harm to the host. And in saprophyte, it involves just a single living organism feeding on dead or decaying organic matter. So the correct answer here is mutualism. Mutualism. Question 46. Which of these is not detected by the nerve endings of the skin? Which of the following stimulus is not detected by the nerve endings of the skin? A. Cold. B. Pain. C. Pressure. D. Weakness. We can detect change in temperature from our skin. We can detect if the weather is hot or cold. So our skin can detect change in temperature. We can feel pain. If there is hot object or if we are being pinched, we can feel the pain. So our skin can detect pain. We can also detect pressure. If there is a pressure on our skin, we can detect it. But if there is a weakness is not a stimulus that can be detected by the skin, because the skin does not have any receptor for detecting weakness. So the correct answer here is D. And as we can see, these are different receptors. For example, we have the heat receptor for detecting cold. We have the light or touch receptor for detecting pressure, and also we have for pain. So the correct answer remains D. Question 47. Behavioral conditioning was described by A. Felix Dujardin, B. Grigor Mendel, C. Ivan Pavlov, and D. Matthias Schlieffen. Conditioning reflex was described by Ivan Pavlov, and he used a dog. So the correct answer here is Ivan Pavlov. Ivan Pavlov. Question 48. The process by which organisms keep their internal condition relatively stable is called A. Metabolism, B. Evolution, C. Gametogenesis, and D. Homeostasis. Metabolism is the sum total or the entire chemical reaction occurring in the body of an organism, and it can be divided into catabolism and anabolism. So metabolism is not the correct answer. Evolution is when an organism evolved as a result of trying to adapt to changes in the environment. And gametogenesis is the process for producing gametes. Homeostasis is a process by which organisms maintain their internal environment even when the external environment is changing. So the correct answer here is homeostasis. Question 49. The following exist as free living organisms except A. Amoeba, B. Chlamydomonas, C. Euglena, and D. Spirogyra. Amoeba exists as free living. Chlamydomonas exists as free living. Also, Euglena exists as free living. But Spirogyra do not exist as free living organisms. They exist in filament. As you can see, this is a filament, another filament. So they exist as filament and not as a free living organism. So the correct answer here is D. Question 50. The basic functional unit of the kidney is the dash. A. Nephron, B. Bowman's capsule, C. Glomerulus, and D. Loop of Henle. Now here is a diagram of the nephron, and the nephron is the basic structural and functional unit of the kidney. A kidney can have about 1 million of this nephron. So the basic structural and functional unit of the kidney is the nephron. Bowman capsule, glomerulus, and loop of Henle are part of the nephron. This is the Bowman capsule, this is the glomerulus, and this is the loop of Henle. So the correct answer here is nephron. Question 51. Snails belong to the phylum A. Annelid, B. Mollusca, C. Echinodermata, and D. Nematode. Annelid is another name for earthworm. Mollusca is the correct answer because snails belong to phylum Mollusca and class Gastropoda. Echinodermata is the phylum for starfish, and nematode is another name for roundworm. So the correct answer here is B. Mollusca. And some of the characteristics of mollusca is they live in marine habitat or freshwater habitat, and they have operculum. Question 52. Which of the following is not a pest of crops? A. Bird, B. Rodent, C. Bedbug, and D. Grasshopper. Birds are pests of crops. They destroy our crops because they also feed on crops. Rodents like rats also feed on crops, so they are pests of crops. Bedbug does not feed on plants or crops. Instead, they take blood as their meal. So what they take or what they feed on is blood meal. Grasshopper also feed on plants. So they are all bird, rodent, and grasshopper are all pests of crops except bedbug which feeds on blood. So the correct answer here is C. Question 53. Another name for a fertilized egg is A. Placenta, B. Zygote, C. Fetus, and D. Ovum. Placenta is that part or that organ that supplies the growing fetus with nutrients from the mother. Zygote is when the egg cell has been fertilized by the sperm cell. So the fertilization of egg cell by sperm cell gives rise to zygote. And fetus is the unborn growing offspring in the mother, and the ovum is the egg cell. So the fertilized egg is referred to as zygote. Zygote is the correct answer. Question 54. Plants that survive in marine habitats are called A. Halophyte, B. Hydrophyte, C. Mesophyte, and D. Xerophyte. Halophytes are plants that survive in marine habitat, in salty water, salty environment. Halo stands for salt and phyte stands for plant. Hydrophyte generally are plants that lives in water. Mesophyte are plants that lives in a place where there is limited supply of water, and xerophyte are plants that lives in a place that has no water or the water is not enough. So the correct answer here is halophyte. Halophyte. And this is a marine habitat, and the plants that will grow in this habitat are referred to as halophytes. Question 55. The study of plants is called A. Zoology, B. Entomology, C. Parasitology, and D. Botany. Zoology, zoo stands for animal, so zoology means the branch of biology that studies animals. Entomology is that branch of biology that studies insects, and parasitology is a branch of biology that studies parasites. Botany is that branch of biology that studies plants. And as you can see, here is a botanist. She works with plants. She studies plants. So the correct answer here is D. Question 56. The following are examples of airborne diseases except A. Chickenpox, B. Cholera, C. Common cold, and D. Whooping cough. Now, chickenpox, common cold, and whooping cough are all examples of airborne disease except cholera. And cholera is an example of waterborne disease. So the correct answer here is B. Question 57. Which of the following is the end product of digestion of oil? A. Glucose, B. Glycerol, C. Amino acid, and D. Glycogen. Now, oil is made up of fatty acid and glycerol. So the end product of digestion of oil should give rise to the glycerol and the fatty acid. A. Glucose, which is wrong, B. Glycerol, which is the correct answer, C. Amino acid, and D. Glycogen. Glucose is the end product for digestion of carbohydrates. Amino acid is the end product for digestion of protein, and glycogen is the polymer of glucose. Glucose is stored in the body of animals as glycogen. So the correct answer here is B. Glycerol. Question 58. The part that supplies food from the mother to the fetus is dash. A. Amnion, B. Chorion, C. Umbilical cord, and D. Placenta. The part that supplies nutrients and removes waste product from the body of the fetus is the placenta. It's the one that connects the mother to the baby, and blood does not move from the mother's body into the baby's body. So the correct answer here is placenta. Question 59. Which of these is not the part of the eye? A. Cochlea, B. Conjunctiva, C. Cornea, and D. Iris. Now here is the diagram of the eye. Conjunctiva is a part of the eyes. Here is it. It has a protective function. Cornea is also part of the eye. This is cornea, and cornea is what refracts or bends light as light moves into the eyes. Iris is the colored part of the eyes that regulates or controls the diameter of the pupil. So we are left with option A, Option A, which is cochlea, is not part of the eye. Cochlea belongs to the ear. Cochlea is part of the ear. Question 60. The oxygenated blood is transported to the lungs through A. Renal vein, B. Hepatic portal vein, C. Pulmonary artery, and D. Pulmonary vein. Now, using this diagram, renal vein is the vein that takes blood away from the kidney. It takes blood away from the kidney. Hepatic portal vein is a vein that takes blood from the gut or the small intestine to the liver. The pulmonary artery is that artery that takes blood away from the heart to the lungs. And pulmonary vein is that vein or that blood vessel that takes blood away from the lungs back to the heart. So deoxygenated blood is transported to the lungs through pulmonary artery is what transports deoxygenated blood to the lungs. So the correct answer here is C. Question 61. One of the following is the unit of life. A. Cell, B. Tissue, C. Organ, and D. System. A cell is defined as the basic structural and functional unit of life. So the correct answer here is A. Question 62. The following are examples of true fruit except A. Mango, B. Oil palm, C. Orange, and D. Pineapple. True fruit are fruits that develop solely or basically from the ovary. They do not develop from other floral parts. So some of the examples are mango, oil palm, and orange. While pineapple is a multiple false fruit that develops from the entire flower, both the floral part and also the ovary. So pineapple is considered as a false fruit. Question 63. The vector that transmits trypanosome is A. Butterfly, B. Housefly, C. Mosquito, and D. Tsetse fly. Mosquito is a vector that transmits Plasmodium. Housefly transfer organisms that cause Shigella, and butterfly generally they carry out pollination. Tsetse fly is that vector of trypanosome. So the correct answer is D, and here is tsetse fly. Question 64. The following are ductless gland except ductless gland are also referred to as endocrine gland. They are glands that makes hormone. Example, we have adrenal gland. Option A, adrenal gland. Adrenal gland makes the hormone adrenaline, and here is adrenal gland just above the kidney. Pancreatic also makes hormone insulin and glucagon, so it's also an example of endocrine gland. Parathyroid gland also makes the hormone parathyroid hormone, and it's just behind the thyroid gland. Salivary gland is not an endocrine gland. It is not a ductless gland. It produces saliva. And generally, ductless gland are glands that produces or secretes their products into the blood. So what is coming out from the salivary gland does not go into the blood. It goes directly to the mouth. So the correct answer here is D. Question 65. White blood cells are also known as A. Erythrocyte, B. Leukocyte, C. Lymphocyte, and D. Phagocyte. Now here is an example of a white blood cell. Erythrocyte is another name for red blood cell. Leukocyte is another name for white blood cell, while lymphocyte and phagocyte are examples or type of white blood cell. But the general name for white blood cell is leukocyte. So the correct answer here is B. Question 66. The removal of remnant particles of digestion from the body is called A. Assimilation, B. Egestion, C. Elimination, and D. Excretion. Now, egestion is the removal of undigested food from the body, and those undigested food are considered as remnant particles of digestion. So the correct answer here is B. Question 67. Enzyme taurine acts on starch in the dash. A. Esophagus, B. Large intestine, C, mouth, and D, stomach. Now, the enzyme tannin is produced or made in the mouth, and that is where it functions. It functions in an alkaline pH, and it breaks down starch. So the correct answer here is mouth, C. And here is the side where the enzyme is produced.